Welcome to Podheim, Jiroc's Valheim podcast. Let's give them the business.
Hey everybody, today is January 12th, 2022. I'm your host, Jiroc the Viking, and joining me today are my fellow Vikings, Gwen the Shield Maiden.
Hello everyone.
We have Jarl Tokus.
Nice to meet you.
Viking Rudi, Rudistic the Guardian.
Skull Vikings.
And Viking Thorin, aka Metaroon.
Hey, what's going on, everyone?
And what do you do when that annoying Grainling runs up on you? That's right, you give him the business, just like we're going to do today. We're going to start with a couple of announcements here. And first off, I want to say it's Rudi's birthday today, the big 31. Happy birthday, Rudi.
Thank you
birthday.
so
Hey,
much.
Happy birthday.
Skull.
Thank you.
So tell us, Rudi, how are you going to be celebrating your 31st birthday?
With all of you on this wonderful community server here. And, I'm feeling like hitting up the resource server later and grinding out some planes action,
Oh, nice, nice. Did you have any big plans over the weekend that you might want to share, or maybe they were too good and you don't want to share?
Not really. We're still pretty locked down here, so just hanging around with the kids. I'm playing Fortnite with my son a little more, and just family time.
Well, awesome. And again, happy birthday. And I wanted to mention to the listeners that this podcast should be releasing every Friday. So if you're interested in the podcast and you are looking forward to it each week, we should be releasing our new episodes every Friday. Now, I know that saying Friday is a little bit different depending where you live in the world. It looks like in our chat, a bunch of people are shouting happy birthday.
What's that? Look over your shoulder.
I think we've been discovered.
I think you've got a birthday party.
So for the listeners, we're in our server. There are 21 people on right now. And it looks like a whole bunch of people have come over to see to Rudi. Let's go in and say hi. So we're in here. Everybody's in here. They got their mugs raised. If you want to see this action, of course, you click over to my YouTube channel, and you can see happy birthday, Rudi. So nice of everybody in the community to come out.
Yes, this is very cool.
Well, yeah, so now the podcast is now available on most podcast apps and websites. Hopefully, your app of choice, we're trying to get it onto iTunes, should be on there soon, hopefully. Also, my new Jiroc Survival Playground Season 1 launches Friday, January 1st. It'll be the 4th server that I have up. And in it, there'll be some new admin-built locations to explore. We'll also have mini bosses, and they'll be in the form of the enemies that are already in the game, but we've kind of boosted them up in level and difficulty. Then we have interesting points of interest that we've spawned in different biomes to give it our own flavor. And you'll see some things in biomes that you're not used to seeing them in. We've also got some new mythologies that we've written up, and those will be posted on our Discord channel. And then there'll be new artifacts at each mini boss location, and these will be in the form of weapons, tools, armors, and they'll all be crafted by all those creatures in our expanded mythology. Each one will be a slightly higher level than what you can craft in-game currently. And best of all, there's no mods needed for this. The server will run for 2 to 3 months, and then, when the players are ready, we'll start a new season. Visit our Discord channel if you're interested in signing up. We have an application channel there. And when you sign up, you actually get access to all of my servers.
That's going to be exciting. Remember, there's only limited spots. So if you want to get in on that, make sure to reach out to us.
Yeah, and the advantage of signing up early, signing up before we launch the server, is that, of course, you'll be able to be there on day one of the server starting at the same time as everyone else. So, yeah, definitely join the Discord, sign up, and let's meet you there.
Okay, so we're going to start off with some news today. And looks like Valheim has been nominated for another award, Best Debut Game at the Game Developers Conference Awards 2022. So that's pretty exciting.
Those wonderful Valheim devs are going to have a giant trophy case soon, I bet.
Yeah, maybe at some point.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're bringing it home this year. I was just going to say, for those who haven't caught the first episode yet, we were also talking about how they won Game of the Year from PC Gamer last episode too. So if you want to hear the discussion around that, definitely jump back to that guy.
Yeah, and then our next news item you're going to cover, Thorn. Can you go over that with us?
Yeah, sure. So we discussed it a little bit last time around as well, but Iron Gate is hosting a build competition, or they did host a build competition over the holidays. It was called Build for Baldur. And that closed, I believe, this past Sunday on January 9th, I think was the date. And they ended up with close to 200 entries, which is awesome to see so many different members of the community, contributing to a pretty fun contest. And the idea was to build some sort of structure or base or castle that was worthy of Baldur himself. So we gathered together as a community and tried to recreate Asgard, because from the lore, that is where Baldur lived, was within Asgard. And we built this big city with the Asgardian palace and the Rainbow Bifrost Bridge, hard to say, as a group, and it came out very well. We kind of modeled it after the Marvel Universe Asgard. And if you want to check it out, you can just search Valheim Asgard on YouTube and you should see it. There's a build showcase there. We had people contributing from all over the server. I think we had 10 to 15 people that were kind of contributing with varying amounts of time. And it was built over, a period of 3 weeks or so. But yeah, it's probably the biggest build that I've participated in. And it was a lot of fun to work together to kind of see it through to the finish. And the end product is pretty spectacular. I love how it looks. So
it's pretty cool seeing everyone's different ways of building and even decorating, and how it all came together with everyone working together, and you can see everyone's separate things. It's very cool.
Yeah, I wanted to say too that if you're interested to see the high resolution photos that we submitted that were highly, color corrected and made to look as nice as possible, you can see those at my Twitter account at Jiroc the Viking. Thorn, did you want to talk about the process for deciding the final images?
Yeah, the final images was a bit. Well, we kind of started with the final images in mind. Jiroc being a filmmaker, that was something that he was pretty adamant about, which I think was great. So we spent a while searching across a couple different seeds for exactly where we wanted to do it, where you get kind of the right spot with good sun exposure, where kind of the sun setting on either side of the frame, facing the right direction, and having the Yggdrasil tree in the background, the right biome, that type of thing. So it took us a while from that perspective. And then we had to sit there and wait quite a bit for the clouds to disappear or dissipate, so you could kind of see the background, as it does get quite misty in the plains. So that was a test of patience, that's for sure. But the environment dev command doesn't force the mist to go away, unfortunately, or the clouds.
That was one of the things I wanted to just point out while you were talking about this is, we can clear the environment with the environment command, and we can turn, the weather where we want. We can set the sun where we want in time of day to take really nice pictures. But unfortunately, there's no clouds on and off setting, and those clouds were constantly in the way. And so we had to take multiple pictures for that, and then try to make the sky look nice without clouds, because only part of this sky would be showing through the clouds. And then we take a picture, then the other side would be showing through the clouds, and we take that picture and then kind of combine them so we didn't have all clouds in the sky.
Yeah, exactly. And just due to that, we ended up kind of layering multiple photos together. And Valheim is naturally beautiful, but we kind of wanted to go above and beyond. So there were a few instances where we were taking like multiple exposures at different times of day and kind of layering them together to get a really nice balance of light, almost like an HDR image, if you're familiar with that. But it was fun. It's the first time I've really tried to capture something to that degree in Valheim, and it was a good experience, good learning experience for future ones, that's for sure.
And the lighting, we did so much work on getting the lighting just right to give off not only the vibe, but also having the right areas lit up for the pictures. I think we learned a lot from Jiroc from that perspective as well.
Yeah, definitely.
And we used a lot of blue and pink lights because we figured out that some of so torches don't render very well in a distance. So we used like a lot of swamp keys and other items that have a glow that is visible from quite afar. And as a result, I love how the whole build looks because the use of those colors just makes the whole thing even more like mystical and fantasy. I didn't at all imagine that when we started the build and we were talking about Asgard, but it ended up being this very magical looking place.
All those item stands under the bridge. I remember me and Gwen, our eyes were getting so buggy that we're like, okay, we need to do something else for 10, 15 minutes because I'm seeing double, triple now.
Yeah, all the colors.
Apologies for anybody who was watching my live streams having to stare at that for 15 minutes straight while I was playing with items on the item stands over there.
I wanted to ask you, Gwen, do you have an estimate about how many item stands were placed under that bridge to create that effect?
My God, I don't know. I want to go check it out and just actually like, how is there an easy way to count? Maybe if I count like because they're placed in a quite a regular pattern. I'd have to check. I'd have to like count the number of rows and
if you just count the rows and the columns.
Estimation.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. But a lot is it. And same with the crystals on the bridge, the way we stack them. And I don't know if you wanted to talk about that, Thorin, or it's one of the players that contributed to this build who so we had this idea of doing the Bifrost Bridge. I wanted to do a rainbow bridge because why not? But also because I had this idea in mind to try something that I will actually try. I will actually try it in Tolkas's castle. I wanted to try to use all the different colors of torches and things that we have to make some sort of like old school disco dance floor type thing. And I wanted to try doing that using the crystals and using crystal as flooring. And when this competition started and we were talking about Asgard, I was like, well, you know what? Actually, that could apply also for a rainbow bridge with lots of lights and lots of colors. So that's how we started with this idea. And one of the players, Kondo, started building the bridge and found a way to stack the crystals a bit like laminate flooring, so they're on a off pattern or like bricks.
Yeah, like an offset brick pattern.
Yeah, they're offset, and they're the way he's done it, because we tried different ways. I think initially they were stacked kind of like in the width of the bridge, and it looked okay, but I think the way we did it is now they're kind of going with the length of the bridge, and it just looks super smooth and super nice. But I need to know from Kondo how long he spent building the bridge and putting all the crystals, because the amount of crystal is just insane. It is a big bridge. It takes a while to just walk through it. So
and putting stuff on those item stands, if you messed one up, I was so scared to try and delete one, because if you hit one piece of crystal, I was told the whole thing comes down. So I was so nervous to try and take anything off a stand in case I missed.
Yeah, it was the way that they were clipped. Apparently he worked really hard to try to clip them using the iron gates, as well as the and the offset pattern meant that if one got removed, we had to like basically remove the whole row and do it again. Exactly like flooring, like wooden flooring. You can't just replace one piece because they just kind of stack together. So we were told to be extremely careful around the crystals.
Should we all do a little guessing game? What's everyone's guesses onto how many item stands there are? I think we should all have a guess.
Yeah.
And then once we count, we'll see who's closer.
Bet. And, let's do a bet.
Just the bridge or the whole thing?
Yeah, just underneath the bridge there.
Just underneath the bridge.
Yeah, I spent a little bit of time under there, not nearly as much as Gwen and some of the others. But I'm going to guess close to 1,000.
That makes my guess seem way off. I was thinking like 250.
Yeah.
It's definitely more than that. Because I think it's at least 12 or 15 item stands across. And then we've probably got a few hundred item stands long for the whole length of the bridge. So I was thinking like 4,000 or 5,000 item stands.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I wanted to say the same thing. This bridge looked really long.
Those are some
Yeah.
wild estimates. I mean, way off from each other. It'll be interesting to find out who's closer.
Yeah, I'm gonna
Yeah,
call
definitely.
2,000.
Okay.
It's like counting gumballs in a jar.
Wait. Are we? Let's write it down and we'll bet. What are we betting?
We have it on. We have it recorded, so we know what
Oh
everybody.
yeah, that's right. We don't need to take notes. Silly me.
I wanted to
Well,
say
I
though.
want to record the bet. What's on the table?
I don't know. We'll have to
Full
figure that
level
one
Frostner.
afterwards. But I wanted to-
Paradoxical bet. Loser has to count the item stands.
Oh, there you go.
Oh no!
All
Please
of them.
no! Please no!
But Rudistic went with Price is Right rules. Anybody know that game?
Yeah.
You bet as low as possible, because if you overbet, you automatically lose. So he just went with a low number.
Well, so far, if it's between 250 and 1,000, that's all me.
Yeah. So there was one
What's your official guess, Tulkus? We need an official number from you.
An official number: 5,238.
very, very
I like
precise number. So one of the things I wanted to talk about with the Baldr build was, they announced, Valheim announced the competition. What was it, in
December 20th.
Yeah, December 20th. And then we had until January 9th. So in the spirit of competition, we did not take one of the amazing, amazing builds on our server and submit that. We built from scratch. Just a couple of days after the competition was announced is when we got organized and got started. Now, I don't know if that was really in the spirit of the thing, if they didn't really care, but that's kind of how I took it. So it's interesting that a lot of people just submitted builds that they had been working on since Valheim came out, which, I mean, that's the big, beautiful build that they have. So that's cool. And, they don't have a huge community like we do of 85 plus players now. And I think we had about 10 or 12 people contribute on this build. Was it, Thorin, you think?
Yeah, something like that.
So yeah, I just wanted to point that out for the viewers. When you're looking at that build, that's not a build that we have had on the server for a long time. That just happened in the last few weeks. So pretty impressive by the community to watch them come together to do that.
Yeah, for sure. When talking about whether the builds were recent or previous builds that they'd done in the past, it was also interesting to see the combination of structures that got posted. Some were what you'd expect, where there are houses or castles that are built for Baldur to live in, but others were a lot of just really interesting builds. Like I saw a dragon on there. We've got someone else on our server who built a whole PC workstation. His name is Dipstick. That one's pretty remarkable.
If you check out my Twitter at Jiroc the Viking, I had retweeted Dipsticks, and then you can see his Twitter channel and look at his submission. It's amazing. Giant computer on a desk looking out, recreating the Valheim start screen.
It's mind-blowing.
Yeah, the level of detail in that is just, I can't even fathom it. Shout out to my fellow stick brother. Way to go, Dipstick.
It is amazing. Honestly, so many people have commented on Twitter on his submission saying, wait, what? Some people even said, if it wasn't for that last picture where it zoomed out, or if it wasn't for zooming in on the picture, they didn't realize that it was an actual build. That's how good it is. It looks like a real desk. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's pretty mind-blowing. So definitely check that one out. And yeah, hopefully Dipstick wins a creativity award or something like that, because it's out there, but it's pretty amazing.
What would be your favorite one from all the submissions that you've seen?
I spent a good hour or so yesterday going through a bunch of submissions, and one that stuck out to me was Space Goat 1 on Twitch and on Twitter there. His build for Baldr is a flying sky base, and I was pretty enthralled by that. He said he used no mods, no cheats, no debugs. If you guys see the pictures of that one, it's pretty wild to think how someone could do that without free fly and stuff like that. So that one was one of my favorites for sure.
I had a few. My kind of classic favorite one was Castle Noosh by Southseal. I think it's pronounced. I'm kind of a sucker for organically shaped walled castles that are really like built right into the mountain. I think I may have seen this one before the build competition, so it may have been just kind of a resubmission. But either way, I love the look of that one and the level of detail. It's pretty amazing. And then a couple like honorable mentions for me. The USS Valheim was really neat. It was like a big battleship basically that they made out of tar wood roofs. That was really neat. And finally the stone pillar temple. It didn't really have a title, but somebody spawned the big heath pillars from the plains, and I think they spawned 6 of them, and then they built big walls and crystals around and in between them to create this temple. And the scale of that was crazy. It just looked really neat, both inside and out.
Yeah, my I can't even say which one is my favorite. There's so many great submissions, but my eye caught one that I swear looks like Notre Dame. So I'm French, so anything anything like that will, especially I'm a sucker for old historical buildings and great monuments and stuff like that. And there's a build from Greg Klimov, Soviet villager on Twitter, and I'm looking at it, and there's multiple angles. There's the side angle, there's the back angle, and there's no mention of it being modeled after Notre Dame. But I'm looking at it, and I've lived in Paris for a while, and I'm like, this is Notre Dame. It's amazing. It's this very Gothic-looking cathedral. It's got the very signature front two towers, the very square and massive entrance, and at the back, it's got a very nice spire. Which unfortunately burnt down a couple of years ago. I don't know if people have followed, but Notre Dame was hit by a really bad fire. So yeah, that's why also it's got a special place in my heart. It's Notre Dame is a special building. So for any French person, we don't really care about the Eiffel Tower so much, but Notre Dame is it's a special one.
C'est français, c'est très belle, but yeah, how could you miss the when Notre Dame burned was all over the news, at least in Germany.
Yeah, so I think it looks like that player spent 9 months building it on survival, which is even more commendable. And the level of detail is amazing. I love there's a shot from inside the cathedral or the build where you can see the sun shining through, the god rays through the window, and it looks like almost stained glass. It's beautiful. So that will be my shout out.
Yeah, I remember seeing that one too, and I thought that was pretty awesome. And like you guys said, there were so many awesome builds. It's hard for me to pick a favorite. Like I didn't really know what Dipstick was doing, the player on our server, until he started posting images. And I think for like thinking out of the box and an original build that's not sort of like role playing related, that's probably my favorite. But most of the builds are more role playing related, meaning they're sort of built to be something that you would exist in the game that you like would use and frequent, and part of the Viking adventure, except maybe for that aircraft carrier. But even that, it's a ship that's out there. I did have a special place in my heart for that when I saw it, because I did serve in the Navy, the U.S. Navy, for 6 years, and I was on an aircraft carrier for 4 of those years. And so when I saw that, it gave me both good and bad memories. The military is rough life, but and the build was spectacular. So a lot of the ones that you mentioned, Tulkas and Rudi too, those were great. I was going to say too, one of my favorite builds and builders on YouTube is Smitty Survival. He does a lot of amazing things. And even though I think he probably, or maybe, I don't really know for sure, but maybe he built his Christmas village as just a December, his holiday village as a December build to release on his channel. And then the competition got announced and he submitted it for that. Like, cause in my heart somewhere, I wanted everybody to start fresh with a build, just for the competition when it was announced. But that aside, his holiday village is just absolutely amazing, and it makes me happy to when I see it and I watch the video. It just like puts a smile on my face for the holidays.
Definitely another good choice of music, and his level of detail in his builds is astounding. Really, I always aspire to do more like him, where he doesn't just do these big, massive, beautiful builds, but the like tiny little details that he puts into it, whether it's like the ornamentation and all of the trim and additional beams or the decorations themselves. They're always pretty awesome to look at.
Yeah, so just a news item on our server, we have a Sacred Sundial build competition coming up here. Judging is this Sunday, I believe. Be excited for that, to do that on our server and take a look at what people have come up with. And of course, I'll post pics and vids for any listeners that are interested in checking that out.
Yeah, there's some really cool ones. You're going to have a good time looking at all those.
Oh, yeah, I can't wait. And then our next segment, we're going to talk about some of the last few updates that have happened in Valheim. Now, we haven't had an update recently because of the holidays and the Iron Gate team was on holiday. But I wanted to start with the update where they introduced the armor stands and the Yule decorations. Now that we've had a few weeks to live with them, does anybody have any thoughts? Do you like them? Do you not like them? Are there any weird quirks you've learned? Any other alternate uses you found?
I love decorating in the game. So as a decorator, having those was huge, especially in like our big castle, our big clan castle. Having 3 different sets, we have 3 armor stands up with 3 different sets. It makes it look that much more intimidating. And yeah, show off a lot more. It's one of my favorite additions, favorite updates so far is definitely adding the armor stands. Thank you, Iron Gate. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I can, as another decorator, I agree. There's also some other cool stuff, cool uses for armor stands, and we've only started scratching the surface with some of the using armor stands as like lights or lamps on our Build for Baldur build to just highlight certain things with like a spotlight using the Verger circlet on the armor stand. There's like so many different things that we can do. I've seen people use the armor stands kind of clipped next to each other as fences, as like really nice looking fences. So
expensive
there's so
fences.
many expensive fences. If you're in creative mode, it's fine. Are they that expensive? It's just wood and leather, and
I think it's 8 fine wood per piece, and you need to clip them together quite tightly. So it's a lot of fine wood if you want to make a big fence. Yeah.
Well, as a decorator, I'm used to it, using a lot of fine wood. But also, if you're like building a big town and you're on your own or playing solo, and you want some friends, you could just have armor stands in each room, with some clothes on and pretend that they're other people. That's really sad. Yep.
Give yourself a barkeeper, fake NPCs.
Exactly.
You can sit there with a cake in front of you, item stands around you. Happy birthday to me.
That's what Rudi's doing tonight.
Exactly.
One of the things that you mentioned, Gwen, was I just wanted to point out for me, the armor stand. Once I realized that I could put that the circlet on it and turn the armor stand into a spotlight that wasn't, a flickering flame, and I could also direct the light, because I'm always trying to light things in a very particular way. And the torches and other fiery light sources, they cast light all over the place, but that circlet on the armor stand just allows me to put light right where I want it, and it's really cool. I love that functionality. Yeah,
and it's a different color of light too.
Wasn't that our dear friend Christy who showed us that little trick?
Yeah, gaming with Christy. Absolutely. I'm just waiting for the moment that someone, or maybe Jiroc himself, will create like a filming studio in the game with spotlights using that trick.
Oh, there you go. There's an interesting build idea. Yeah, I've been thinking about what I should build next. I used to do more building when I was, solo playing and making my YouTube videos. But since running the server, there's, my time is more limited, but you guys are building so many interesting things that I just go and look at yours. But if Kaizen can get his Valheim creators server running here. Hopefully, pretty soon. There's a few of us on there. And people are starting to talk about building and getting together to do things. I have to think about what I want to build. Maybe a film studio is high on. I should put high on the list.
Yeah,
definitely be
that
original.
Would be fun. No, I was just gonna say you could even like have one of those studios like YouTubers record themselves in their studio. You could do the same when you do your videos and have your character behind a desk with a nice spotlight and a little camera.
Yeah.
Dipstick could make you the PC to go along with that.
There you go.
Yeah, and with that update, it seems like they gave us these male and female Poseable armor stands. If you haven't seen those yet and you're listening to this, I do have a video on those, and they're kind of interesting, but a little glitchy in a few ways. So yeah, they're obviously not ready for prime time if that's something they will add to the game. But you can spawn them in an admin mode and have fun with them.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see whether those come into the game later on, or if those were purely testing or an early iteration, or what that was.
I think they could be fun because of the poses. You could really decorate, if you could equip them with, you can equip them with armor and weapons. So with the poses, it would make some really interesting decorations.
Mm-hmm. For
Yeah,
sure.
more fake people for the solo players.
Yeah, exactly.
A little bit more dynamic fake people.
Also, you can really start thinking about adding statues to your builds. Yeah, I used the item stand in my Arc of Triumph build at my base. And if you could give them poses as well, you could, I don't know, you could make maybe the Soviet, have you ever seen any old Russian movies from the Soviet Union era? Where they would have the statue in the front with male and female. The man has the hammer and the woman has the sickle there.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, my mother's Russian, so these movies were my childhood basically. This just would be cool to have have them, or in a castle, have them standing around Asgard, or in Notre Dame, as you said before. You could have the little figures there as well on the balconies and at the windows on the roof.
I like the bartender idea. That was a good one. Whoever said that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, well, more statues would be fun. I say more because there are a few that you can spawn in admin mode, but stone statues, that seems like something that fits the Viking era. It would be great if they gave the players access to make the ones that are in the game now without admin mode, and then maybe even add a few more, especially some that have Nordic runes on them. I'm going to go back to my Nordic runes, love.
Yeah. Runestones. Yeah.
We already have the adornments, so why no statues? Why do we have to use admin commands to spawn some in?
And an idea for modders as well, if you could freeze certain mobs in place to make them a statue, that would be amazing. For role-playing stuff, being able to freeze a Fenring in place that's leaning over you and snarling, that would be pretty sweet.
Or freeze it in place and turn it into a stone statue like Medusa. That would be cool.
Yeah.
I was just thinking Medusa, maybe it could be a cool item in the game, like a late game. Or maybe Medusa could be some sort of Ashlands related thing that you could craft.
There we go.
Yeah. Well, so one of the other updates that they did was when they introduced the Abomination and the Root armor, and then they did a quick little update to that and added the Guck drop to it. So I thought adding Guck to it was amazing because Guck is kind of hard to get, and you have to go up into the Guck trees, and it's kind of a finite resource. If you have enough people on your server, if you're playing solo, you may never farm all your Guck trees. But that was a welcome addition. What do you guys think about the Abomination armor now that you've actually had a chance to use it?
Remember back then when they changed the bow, so it would be less of a what's it called, like a the main weapon, so more like a weapon of precision.
Yeah,
they were with the longer reload time, etc. They basically reversed all the changes they made with this set of armor. I feel like it's even stronger than before. Usually my bow skill is right now at 39 because I died a couple of times. But with the plus 15 skill to bow, it's over 50. And you can feel the difference. You can basically gun down trolls, any mob that is coming your direction. It's just pretty insane. The only thing is, though, don't wear it while fighting Yagluf. It's
yes, definitely not.
Yeah, I did it. I did it when we did an event where Yagluf attacked the Naomi city. It was pretty bad. I was living on the edge all the time, just running around all over the place, escaping even the slightest spark of fire would ignite me.
And that's because of the weakness to fire, right? That a couple of the pieces have, or is it all of the pieces? I forget.
All the pieces. But I remember I was at 186 health. I was going heavy there, and Yagluf burned me down with just one hit from his meteorites. Burned me down to like 6 health in one go.
That was a close call.
Yeah, I died later to a skeleton.
I like the mask, like just how the roots come out, and I'm not going to say they're horns, but I love the mask. I think it's quite intimidating, and yeah, the plus 15 on your bows there is quite a handy feat as well. So
actually, I use the mask a lot for the poison resist, because I think that's the only item of the armor of the set that gives you poison resist. And so I don't bother carrying poison resist meads anymore. I just have the mask with me. And if I go to the swamps, I'll just wear the mask and wear my other armor. And yeah, it's been really handy for that. And yeah, you're right. It looks cool.
Yeah, anything that adds extensions off of your heads, like the Drake helmet or the Root armor helm, looks awesome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm ready for some Wood Elf cosplay there.
Yeah, well, and talking about the aesthetics too, it's really nice to have an item that kind of falls on the like Viking culture ties to nature. A lot of the other armor pieces we have are more medieval in their styling, and so it's nice to have a bit of that
That's very true.
Vikings of the forest element captured in the game.
And you can role play as Groot.
Yes.
Halloween costume sorted.
Well, there was also another thing that came with that update, and of course it was the Abomination itself that drops the pieces to make the Root armor. And for me, when I first saw it, I didn't realize what it was. Obviously it's a tree stump, but after studying it after the first couple of days when they released it, the tree stump lifts up out of the ground and its roots come up, and then it flips its whole body upside down.
Mm-hmm.
And then
it's super creepy.
Yeah, it's very creepy. It's great sound effects as it stomps around.
Yeah.
It might be one of my favorite creatures in the game now. I mean, there are a lot of cool ones, but that one is really, really awesome.
I love the style. It's very styled. And I only recently noticed it's got some weird antennas at the back that I only noticed recently after fighting however many. Yeah, it kind of looks like a weird spider cross with a crab. I don't know. It looks very cool. But hey, for all the people who were saying, oh, Mistlands, we want spiders. Well, we kind of have a big spider now with the Abomination.
It's just the way it makes an entrance makes it really cool. Like all the others, they just spawn in or they walk up to you or they fly in, whatever. But the Abomination has a animation when it appears in front of you.
Yeah, I kind of feel I know what you mean, because we only really get that sort of really dramatic entrance with the serpent. And oh my god, I think you all remember the first time you encounter the serpent on sea. It's terrifying because you hear that screech, the whole screen is like vibrating, and you're like, oh my god, what's happening?
Stone golems also have a similar thing. Where they're static. Yeah, they're like static little clumps of rock on the ground, and then when you walk up to them, they'll come out of the ground. Sometimes.
Yeah.
Not always.
Yeah, they do. Sometimes they already get triggered by something else, but yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing character design on the Abomination. The animations are great. It's really nice to get a non-humanoid character. Like a lot of the mobs in the game are kind of humanoid in nature. Yeah, I remember when we had Grimcore visiting our server, he was talking about some of the animation work that him and the team had done on it. And I mean, this is getting a little bit technical, but like the inverse kinematics or IK stuff that actually like maps the legs of the creature to different levels of terrain on the ground. The way they've done that is really, really neat for a non-humanoid character. And yeah, I think they knocked it out of the park with that one.
Whets our appetite even more for what they come up with for the Mistlands, eh?
Hey everyone, this episode is sponsored by G-Portal. They host all of my servers and I have to say they are pretty awesome. If you're looking to rent your own gaming server, you can save 5% if you use my link in the description. And if you're interested in some really cool Viking jewelry, things like necklaces, rings, bracelets, and even some Viking clothing, check out vkngjewelry.com and use code Jiroc for 10% off. Link in the description. Rudi, you're going to talk about some of the favorite things in game, and this week you're going to discuss favorite moments while playing Valheim. You want to start us off with that?
Absolutely. So we all have our favorite moments of our favorite game, Valheim here. So my favorite moment is actually an event that you ran, Jiroc. It was right before Christmas. It was called Viking Claws. And you made a Viking, gave him the Santa hat, and named him Klaus. And man, what a good time that was! What a good event that was. Tulkas was there too. I just remember, 4 different boats full of 4 to 5 Vikings in all of the boats, and we're all just rushing to try and get as north as possible as we can to save Klaus from the kidnappers. And it was just the coolest thing to look over and see 3 other Viking boats full of Vikings. And that event actually ran right down to the minute. I believe we had like 4 or 5 minutes left till we finally got him to the deadline that we had. It was just great to see the teamwork of all the players on the server. And it was just a very, very well thought out event. It was a lot of fun, and I'll never forget looking over and just seeing all the Vikings on the boats, and we're all one goal ahead of us, and we'll all work together and got her done. It was the coolest moment in the game so far, and I will never forget that.
That was a fun event to run. It's one I had a solid idea for. But yeah, basically Loki captured Viking claws and put him in a cave in the deep north. And you guys had 2 hours before he died from frostbite to save him, and you guys did. It was pretty awesome.
It's really fun. I remember we dropped our armor to run faster, and then we just speeded it through the map. We had a couple of wolf encounters on the way where we kind of had to regroup, get into a defensive circle, fight them back, then keep on running to the shores and then on the boats, and then just gun it towards north. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, it was quite chaotic, but it was the perfect mix of chaos and fun. And when you get that perfect mix of chaos and fun, it's just great.
Yeah, you should check out that video.
Yeah, it's if you go to my YouTube channel, Jiroc the Viking, and you search for go under the videos, you have to click the live videos. It's one that has a thumbnail that says "Give 'em the business," and it says "Rescuing Viking Claws." Really fun event. What about you, Gwen? Do you have any favorite moments from playing Valheim, whether it be like single player, multiplayer, or whatever?
I would have to think really hard. I have so many great moments and great memories playing with friends and playing with all the great people on this server. So it would be hard to find one, but I guess in my solo play, probably because I don't play that many or any RPG games, so I guess the whole kind of having to fight and having to find loot and all of that was quite new to me. I've seen and a lot of my friends and people around me play, and I've seen how games work, but haven't necessarily experienced it myself. So I think maybe one of the first times I went into a burial chamber and I managed to collect loot, that was pretty rewarding. Maybe also the first time I actually managed to kill a troll by myself. I'm really not a fighter or a warrior. I'm really terrible with kind of fighting mechanics in game. And I was terrified of trolls when I was just starting off and with my early game armor and stuff. And most of the time when I would encounter trolls, I would just like run away, or if I was playing with a couple of people, we'd take it down. Just, having 2-3 people fighting it. But once I picked up my courage and I decided that I would fight. And when I finally managed to kill a troll by myself, I was just so proud. Which sounds ridiculous now. Yeah, well, no, I was just like, I was shaking. I was so scary. This game is so immersive in all the right ways. I had this, and I'm hoping that I wasn't the only one, like just freaked out by trolls. But like when you're early game and the first times you meet trolls, they're massive, they're scary, they make a lot of noise, they throw stuff at you. It's scary. And every time I would find a troll, I would just like, my adrenaline would go up. I'd be like, oh my God, fight or flight. What do I do? And oh my God, that first fight, like the one time I actually managed to kill it, I remember being the adrenaline rush, and I was just like almost shaking by the end of it. I was like, it was intense. So yeah, maybe that. Obviously, all the great moments that we had on this server are. I couldn't pick one favorite because I had so many good times.
Well, I was going to save mine till the end, but since it's a very similar experience to you, Gwen, I'll just bring that up. Yeah, I had a similar reaction with trolls, but for me, the very first time where I was like that, where I thought, oh my goodness, and I ran away from the fight the first time and then had to like regroup and decide how to go back to the fight, was the first time I summoned Ichthyr. Like I had very little gear. He appeared. It's like the sky gets dark. There's this crazy rock music playing. He's launching lightning bolts all over the place and stomping the ground. Because I didn't know what to expect, right? You never summoned a boss before. So I walked up, I put the thing on the pillar. He appears, all that starts going on. And I just turned and ran. As far as I could.
Were you on your own?
Well, I had two other friends with me because we were playing the three of us on my shared single player game through Steam. But yeah, we all just ran away. I think one or two of them died, but I just kept running as far as I could. I think I was the only one alive. And I said, don't worry, I'll try to circle around and get your stuff. And as I started to come back, I thought, nope, he's still there. Then eventually we got a little better gear because we pretty much went over there with like almost naked, right? Like just barely the rags that you start off with and very little gear. But yeah, that was super fun. And I think, like, again, going back to the music, the sky getting dark, but that hard rock music was so intense with all those special effects. I haven't had that like much adrenaline in a game, I think since or before.
Yeah, more props to Iron Gate again for the original soundtrack.
Oh, I love going to bed to the Valheim soundtrack. Like my dreams will like play out in Valheim world. It's the coolest thing. Yeah, thank you for that soundtrack.
Well, what about you, Thorn? Did you have a favorite moment, single player, multiplayer, just anything that stands out?
Yeah, I think my favorite experience would probably the first time that we took Bone Mass down on our server. It was only probably 3 days into me joining the server. The server was, 5 or 6 days old. It was still pretty fresh for everybody. We were all still low gear. It was a small group of like really tight knit people. I think it was before we bumped up our server capacity. So there were only, 8 or 10 of us there doing the fight, but it was my first time with a larger group because I'd only played with a couple people before joining the server. So it was much more challenging than I was used to just because of how the bosses scale. And yeah, real consequences, but it was pretty intense and a lot of fun.
I remember that. And actually, didn't we kill Bone Mass after someone had killed Moda, and we were like, and we had a couple of days to prep for it and to kind of build up to the Bone Mass fight?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that was cool. How about you, Tolkas? What's your favorite moment in game?
I'm thinking I've spent, since we started this whole conversation, I've been thinking of a moment, but I can't come up with any. There's been so many. Like when I was playing solo with a friend and we were summoning the Elder for the first time, and he was launching his vine attack on us, and we were like we were wearing decent armor. We were prepared for the fight, but there were greater spawners, and a troll came over as well. And what we've just the first fight we just spent running around, just avoiding to be hit by anything. Those are just The only thing missing was the Benny Hill music playing in the background.
And then, as you were running through the Black Forest, did you also have like a trail of grey dwarfs and greylings following you as well, and skeletons joining the the procession?
My friend was getting smacked by a troll. I was getting chased. I could not fight back because as soon as I were to stand still, the elder would just launch his vines on me and basically pierce me into death. And then just They were just, okay, this is just pointless. We have to fall back, regroup, kill all the spawners, mobs in the area, and then we can do the boss afterwards. Yeah, the one event on the server was the 7 Dagger event when we went into the swamp and fought off skeletons and wraiths, and we went into a crypt and fought there like a D&D party, then went back out, fought our way back to the ships. And I remember there was one in the chat who keeps on saying, guys, we have a portal. Why don't we just take the portal out of here? Why do we have to take the boat we came here for? And then he just kept on saying, and then at some point I was like, God damn it! Don't you know how to roleplay? We came here with the boat. We leave with the boat. So come on, we're having fun here. Stop being realistic.
Yeah, stop being practical, right?
Yeah, stop making sense with whatever you're saying.
We want to sail off into the sunset and celebrate victory.
Yes.
Like real heroes.
Yes, and then someone came over and ruined the thing as we were sailing into the sunset. Sorry, but yeah. I'm still, you know what you did there.
Yeah, I should have let them get away and ride off into the sunset, but somebody was challenging me to spawn serpents on them, and I did, and it broke their boat, kind of ruined their glory moment. And so, yeah, I'm learning how to make the events more fun, and letting them celebrate victory is one of those things I'm learning definitely how to do. But so I wanted to go on because each of us has just one little thing we'd like to change. And mine is really quick. Mine is that the hitboxes are too big. Now, the listeners aren't going to be able to see this, but I'll describe it. So when I crouch, look at that, how low I am. When you build something and you look like you can crawl under it, which would be fun. Imagine, cave holes, or you build something where you have to crouch to get underneath it. You can't, because your hitbox is still as tall as you are when you're standing. So you can't actually get underneath something when you crouch. And I noticed that on mobs, because, I like to jump on mobs' heads and give them the business. They all have this like invisible hitbox, especially the new Abomination. Like I was really hoping that I could jump on that Abomination and be on it. But when I jump on it, I looks like I'm floating a meter or more above it because of the hitboxes. So, I mean, that's probably just the limitation of the engine or whatever that they're running. But if the one thing they could do is change the crouch hitbox so that I can crawl under stuff, that would be a lot of fun. Gwen, how about you? If there was one thing quickly, what would you change?
The annoying yellow placement box when you try to build anything. There's this like square, the yellow square, and it kind of like it's like it's animated as well, which makes it even more annoying. Which is fine when you build big items. It's useful to have because then you know where the item you're building is going to be placed. But when you're trying to build with small pieces, or when you're trying to place item stands, and you can't even see the actual item stand. So for us decorators who are like really specific about how we place items, which direction they need to be facing and all of that, we can't even see the item stand. So we can't see where the orientation of that item stand. So it's really annoying. And you have to kind of place it, like point away, then realize that you've placed it wrong, then try again and kind of guess how the thing is going to be placed. It's really frustrating. So that would be the one. If they could get rid of that or remove it for the smaller items or have an option to toggle it off, that would be fantastic.
Completely agree on that. Yeah.
And Rudi, how about you? One thing that you could change if there was a button and you could push it, or the genie could blink his eyes and make it happen, what would it be?
Well, I'm not the greatest builder. And I know Grimcore said no, and when they did the walkthrough, but Man, would 90-degree ladders make life so much easier for us who aren't that great at building? I'm not great at making spiral stairs and stuff like that. If I could just, go straight up on a ladder, oh my goodness, that would tickle me pink.
Yeah, I agree. Like, I have this castle, and I have to use elevator portals to get up and down inside my base. It would be also so much easier if we could just put a ladder in there and just go up and down. It will also make it easier for people to walk around inside the build.
And Thorn, what about you? If you had one thing you could change with the magic button?
Yeah, I'm a big builder, so for me, I've been a little bit frustrated with the inconsistency in building pieces. Even when they added some new stuff with the Hearth and Home update, where they added angled core wood beams and that type of thing. But I don't understand why we don't have the same shape and length in every beam. From a development perspective, it definitely wouldn't be hard to add. But yeah, why do some beams come in 1 and 2 meters and others in 2 and 4? And why do we have angled core wood but not dark wood or iron? And I feel like it would just make us or help us be a lot more creative if we had those sorts of options. I know there have been concerns expressed by the Iron Gate devs about the build menu becoming too long, but I think they're only missing 10 pieces or something, so I can't imagine that would make it overflow or anything like that. So that would be mine.
Yeah, angled dark wood would be really cool to use as well, for sure.
Yeah, I hate when you're trying to go up over an angled opening and then you have to switch between dark wood and regular wood, so you usually just end up using regular wood if you're surrounding that kind of opening.
Yeah, I had that with the Arc of Triumph I mentioned earlier. Just why? It's 2 items. Just 2 items, the angled dark wood.
Yeah, and I think Grimcore in one of our tour videos, he was talking about potentially adding a steeper roof, like a 67-degree roof, which would be cool. I would totally be all for that, but I would love to see them, standardize the build pieces before they go adding more. Personally,
yeah, more build pieces is always really exciting. Okay, so we've got one more segment to do, and this is just kind of a bonus for those people who stuck around to the end of the podcast here. And it's an interesting facts about us. And this week, the interesting fact about us is going to be where everyone got their name from. I'm always curious. Sometimes I see names that are really bizarre or other a little more role-playing oriented. I think all of us here sort of have kind of a role-playing oriented name, as opposed to some of the names out there as Elite Shooter or something like that as their name. So starting with Tulkas, you want to share with us how you came up with that name Tulkas for your character?
It's from the Lord of the Rings universe. When I read the Silmarillion back then, and when I was thinking about the name, it kind of reappeared in my mind, that character called Tulkas in that book, like the prequel to the Lord of the Rings stories. Tulkas was the last of the Valar gods who came to Arda, the world, and he had the name the Champion. He is described as a tall, strong man with blonde hair, and basically resembling just the Viking ideal, more or less. Big muscles, bare-chested, fun, a total fun guy apparently, always good for a laugh, and he likes to basically party and a lot of drinking apparently, and he is apparently so strong he doesn't need a weapon. He's just using his fists in a fight. So yeah, I just thought it was for a fitting description.
That does sound like you.
Yeah. Well, besides the whole bare chest and muscles there, but the rest kind of fit. The rest fits.
Well, what about you, Rudistic? And I see you're Rudistic too. I'm just assuming because you have another character named Rudistic, maybe from a single player game. But where does that name Rudistic come from?
It came from in grade 10, the last week of school in grade 10. Me and a buddy were trying to think of a band name, and my last name is Rudix. So he just randomly said Rudistic, and I have used that name for everything ever since. My Twitter, any other game, Warzone, anytime you see Rudistic, that is me. So pretty simple explanation. It just came from a little play off my last name, and I've used it for everything since.
It's fun how things like in life can happen like that. It's kind of, especially kids, they come up with funny ways to say other people's names. Sometimes it's to tease, or sometimes it's to just have fun. And someone took your name and just added a couple extra of since or parts to it, and you liked the way it sounded and you kept it.
Yeah. And, like I said, my last name is Rudix. I've been called Rudy since I was a little kid. So for you guys to just shorten that and start calling me Rudy, I was pretty stoked for that, because, that's my actual nickname in real life.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. So what about you, Thorin? I have a guess where your name came from, but how did you come up with the name Thorin?
So it's kind of a twofer. Thor, the inspiration was from, Thor the Viking. I'm a big Thor fan, both, lore wise and in Viking lore, but also Marvel stuff. And I've, been following Thor for a long time. But I felt wrong to take the name Thor for the game, since he's kind of in the game a little bit already, as an Easter egg. And I'm also a really big fan of The Hobbit and the Lord of the Rings series. Also some similar inspiration to Tulkas. And there's Thorin Oakenshield, who's in the Hobbit as well. So yeah, it's kind of a fusion of those two. Partially why I've been using the root armor recently. It kind of fits with the Thorin Oakenshield vibes. I don't know if you want to get into my other names. I've kind of got 3 names in this community, the Fenrir and Metarune as well. If we're short for time, I can move on. But if you want me to explain those, let me know.
Yeah, why don't you tell us quickly about Fenrir, which is the role-playing character that you do in admin mode, and then your YouTube channel, Metarune.
Yeah, sure. So Fenrir, again from Viking lore, is the son of Loki. He's a wolf character, and Jiroc had originally started putting on these admin events where he was the mischievous Loki, causing problems and mischief with all of the Vikings on the server, surprising them and dropping different creatures on them and that type of thing. And I wanted to join in these admin events, and so I just kind of explored related characters from Viking lore and history, and Fenrir kind of caught my eye. I kind of like the aesthetic of a werewolf type character, and so I went with that, and it's been a lot of fun. It kind of fit in being the son of Loki. The two mesh really well together from a role playing perspective. And then Metarune, which is my YouTube name. I kind of came up with this a while ago when I was working on some game development stuff, but it just fits really well with Valheim as well. And it's the combination of meta and rune, meta being something that's kind of getting into something very deep, or like, reproducing stuff related to something else and getting meta, if you will. Which I do, kind of reproducing Valheim content. And then rune is, obviously Viking rune inspired. So just kind of fused the two into one word. And that's the story.
Yeah, I really like the sound of that too, Metarune. It's nice and short, and you've got a fun logo too that doesn't feel exactly like a rune. There's a rune in the center, but you got the triangle, so I don't know. It kind of feels Metarune to me for some reason.
Yeah, that was the idea. Thanks.
And then Gwen. I always, when I look at your name, I want to say Gwen and then a bad word. But can you tell us your full name, Gwen, and pronounce it for us, and tell us how you came to it?
Absolutely. So it's Gwen Huivach, and it is Welsh. Everyone calls me Gwen for short because no one knows how to pronounce it. I don't speak Welsh myself. I would love to. I might learn at some point. But I believe it is pronounced Gwen Huivach. And it is, how it came about was basically in my solo game. So I started playing Valheim with friends. Instead of some of my friends just have their actual name as their character names. And I thought, oh, well, I want to get into the whole Viking thing. I don't want my character to just be my name. So I tried to find a Viking sounding version of my name. So I started searching the origin of my name and all of that. And I found a version of that name that in Welsh kind of sounds, it's totally not the right era, but it kind of sounds Viking-y. It sounds like ancient, a little bit older than medieval times. So I just went with that. So my original character is Gwenhwyvar with a R, A-R at the end and not A-C-H, which is the actual Welsh name for Guinevere. So if you're familiar with King Arthur and the Arthurian legends, Guinevere or I don't know how. Is it Guinevere in English?
Yes,
Yes.
it is.
Yeah, Guinevere. So her, when you read up all the Arthurian legends, which come, a lot of them come from Wales, the name that is used is Gwenhwyvar with a na at the end, and that's my initial character. And so when I joined the server, I had to make a new character with a new name, but I thought, I quite like that name. I got attached to it. So I tried looking up some other variations, and in one of the Arthurian legends or one of the subsequent stories about the legends and Guinevere and all of that, there is in one of the books, there is a mention of a second character called Gwenhwyvar with the CH at the end, who is supposedly the sister of Guinevere. And Guinevere in Welsh is supposedly means something beautiful and good, and her sister with the F-A-C-H at the end, it means the opposite. So it's essentially Guinevere's evil sister. So that's how I named my character, and it was quite entertaining at the All Thing event that we did, just listening to how people were just trying to pronounce the full name. I think since then people have given up.
May I say you're laughing like your sister?
Maybe less, a little bit more evil.
Yeah, that wouldn't be confusing at all, having a sister with basically the exact same name.
I mean, it's, it's how it is. It's like those Arthurian legends and myths and things. It's a lot of it is like bordering on poetry, and it's like characters that have names of significance, and it was probably, I mean, King Arthur was probably not a real historical character anyway, and a lot of that is very embellished and has changed so much throughout the various centuries where those stories were written. So it was nice. I enjoyed doing a bit of digging and trying to find some names that I could relate to, and Gwen for short is pretty easy to pronounce in any language, and easy to remember, so kind of works.
I remember calling you I started to call you Guinevere when we first met, but then I look at your name and no, something is not right here.
Yeah, that's Welsh for you. It's just lots of consonants and Y's and H's everywhere, where you're like, I'm not sure how to pronounce this.
So, Jiroc, how about you?
Yeah, so Jiroc is a character from a short story about a Viking whose village gets raided by another Viking clan, and then he goes to rescue his wife who was taken. That was the short story I wrote. I wrote that back, this is more than 20 years ago now, when I was in the military. I had a lot of time in the military, and we didn't have cell phones back then, so we had to actually read books or write or find other ways, or I'd pop out my CD Walkman and listen to music. If you guys ever had to deal with one of those, where you only have so many songs. But so in my story, the character was called Jiroc, and his full name was actually Jiroc Stravigson, the son of Stravig. When in order to come up with the name Jiroc, I wanted something that had like hit hard, something, just 2 syllables. And I got that from one of my favorite authors, Robert E. Howard, who wrote the Conan the Barbarian stuff in the early 1920s. His stories are fascinating and energetic and really fun to read. But the name Conan, I always loved. It was 2 syllables, and it would hit hard when you read it. Conan, or like the way Arnold Schwarzenegger says it, Conan. But we would sort of say Conan. But I like Conan. So it was 2 syllables. It hit hard. And when I thought I was writing my story, I wanted a character that had a similar sound and with just 2 syllables and kind of hit hard. I was like, Jiroc. Of course, some people see it and they go, Jiroc. And then I burn their tongues with hot coals for saying it that way. But yeah, and then eventually when 20 plus years went by, and when I started a YouTube channel, I just wanted my YouTube. I love role playing. I've been doing role playing games since I was like 10 years old. So I wanted my channel to have like a kind of a role playing feel to it. And I thought, what would I theme it? Well, I'll theme it Viking. And so what Viking name did I default to? Of course, my old Viking character I wrote in that short story all those years ago. And when I started my channel, I didn't even know about Valheim. So it's actually a coincidence that I'm Jiroc the Viking and my main content on my channel is Valheim.
That's a fun Easter egg. Kind of the same as me, where it wasn't originally meta rune for Valheim.
Is that story ever going to be published?
I would have to find it first because I'm pretty sure I don't know where it's at. But if I can find it, I will. And I don't think I actually finished it. And I'm sure it's not very good. I would have to read it myself first. I haven't looked at it in years. But if I can dig it up, maybe I'll share it with a few people privately. If it's good enough, maybe I'll share it. But yeah, it was just a young person who wrote a lot of stuff to run role-playing games. So sometimes I would get so into the characters that I would write for role-playing games that I would dungeon master back then, kind of like I'm dungeon mastering for Valheim. I would write up really long character bios. And this was one of the Viking characters that I wrote a long bio for, and I decided to start writing a story about him. And I think I wrote a kind of a few chapters for the story and then put it aside, and military life took over. But yeah.
Well, that'd be cool. There's your homework for the week.
Yeah. In addition to launching the new survival server, I'll just squeeze that in. So that's all we have for today, everybody. I want to thank you all for joining me.
Thank you for having us here at this beautiful, great hall. Thorin, amazing job on this build, man. I mean, everything you do is amazing, but this one's pretty special here.
Thank you very much. And yeah, thanks to all of you for joining today. It was a lot of fun.
That's it for now. Have fun out there. Thank you for listening to Podheim, Jiroc's Valheim podcast. We have new episodes coming out every Friday, and if you enjoyed listening, please support us by subscribing to the podcast on your favorite platform and leave us a rating and a review to help more Vikings find us. We also have a Patreon with perks for supporters like behind-the-scenes discussions, exclusive content, and segments that are edited out of the main podcast, and access to our Valheim gaming servers. If you'd like to play on our Valheim servers, join our Discord. The link will be in the description of this episode, along with the Patreon link. There, you will find all the information you need to apply to our gaming servers. Thank you to Gwen the Shield Maiden, Jarl Tolkus, Rudistic the Guardian, and Thorin, aka Metarune, for being part of this show. I'd like to give a huge shout out to my supporters, some of them on Patreon, the YouTube membership, and the ones who help boost our Discord server. Your support means the world to me and inspires me to make more videos, as well as run a community Discord and multiple Valheim gaming servers. If you enjoy my videos and would like to support my work, join our friendly Discord community and Valheim servers. Links can be found in the description below. Skål!